mine.
We are live. This is a late night edition of The Way with Anoa, coming to you from the Progressive Army. I'm on Ben's channel because, you know, Ben's awesome and lets me use his channel. His channel's bigger than mine. I'm really excited because even though I'm about 15 minutes late, I stayed up late, though, to talk with this very awesome, I'm not even going to say young man, this very awesome brother from the West Coast, brother from another mother, doing it like so big right now. Kenneth, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good. How are you, Anoa?
I'm hanging in there. You know, I told you I stayed up late just for you. This is exciting.
Hey, we got to do it. Revolution never sleeps.
I mean, the revolution never sleeps, and this is how we get it going from coast to coast. You are running for Congress. Like, one, that's huge. Congratulations on everything that you've been doing so far. And we'll get into the specifics about your campaign and the race. But you're also running as a Green Party candidate.
Yep.
So let's talk about that for a little bit, because this is a special election, and it just seems like it's like the who's who of Democrats showed up to kind of run for this seat. But you have chosen to step outside the box. Kudos. Yeah. And you're running green. So how has that been? What can you just talk to me a little bit about? What was that process to have you been green? Did you go green? Just talk to me a little bit about that process right there.
Yeah, so I got involved last year thanks to Bernie Sanders, who ran in the Democratic Party. So I went and joined Bernie Sanders in the Democratic Party, and he's actually a socialist. And then we sort of saw what happened, and he got screwed over by the DNC. The Hillary camp colluded with him. And so I exited after the DNC and went green, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud to be representing the Green Party. Ever since I found the Green Party, I'm not looking back, because their platform actually resembles many Democrats and many, what Democrats believe in. You know, the actual party doesn't believe in it, but we do. We believe in healthcare as a right, education as a right, clean, renewable energy, you know. And so I'm proud to go green. So that's who I am.
Awesome. So now you're running for Congress in this special election. There were, I can't remember last count how many candidates. There were 6 or how many candidates are exactly in your race?
There are 23 candidates running.
23 altogether. See, I was way off. I knew there were a lot of people. We have a special election down here in Georgia. There's about 17 or 18. So it's a jungle. What do they call them? Jungle primaries, or it's a free for all, right? Yeah. Wow. So how has that been? Like, how has it been with how has it been for you as a Green candidate in this race? Has there been any issues in terms of like any polling that's been done locally, or like, you know, if they're doing any, like, are they calling people and maybe not including your name, or how has it been with you actually just participating in the election thus far from that respect?
Right. So in terms of the difficulties when it comes to polling, they actually did poll us, and we're polling top 6. And these are the establishment candidates who are running these polls. So being top 6 in a group of 23 people and as a Green is actually very good. But a recent poll, one of my friends got called and they didn't include me in the list. And it just goes to show that they're trying to show people that we're not viable, but we are. You know, we have a good ground game. We have good volunteers. It's always going to be hard because they have the money.
Right.
But we've raised so much money, over $36,000 in 3 months. With over 1,000 donations, and we have 500 volunteers. So we're pushing. We have to win, and this is how we're going to win. It's through people power. So
absolutely, you speak in my language. Talk about people power. So talk to me. How has the community's response been? You know, to your presence, to your campaign. 500 volunteers. That's impressive. They
love it. We have like over 300 phone bankers. Many of them are from out of state. And like our Facebook and our social media game is huge, and they're helping us from all over the place. And here on the ground, we have like close to 100 people sign up to knock on doors. Very good. So the community is sick and tired of Democrats. Like LA is a huge Democratic stronghold,
right?
But they happened last year. Our local government is all Democrats, and they're receiving money from developers. They're receiving money from health insurance companies. They're receiving money from private prison industries. And so they're sick of it. So when we tell them like, oh, we're here representing the Green Party, like, oh, what are they about? And then we say, well, like, we're all former Democrats, and we're actually here to not deport your family, here to provide you health care, here to cancel your student debt. We're here to provide healthcare. And they're just like, oh my God, like, that's awesome, because I'm sick and tired of the Democrats. So the reception is awesome here. We're not really competing with Republicans. And so the reception is good.
Oh, very good. So just thinking about like what you just said about LA being a Democratic stronghold is really interesting, because we just saw the primary for mayor, and like turnout was like maybe 10%, I believe, when I last read. We've seen it said over like the past few cycles that Democrats have an enthusiasm issue, and it just sounds like with your campaign and your approach, you're not seeing that as much. So hopefully that, your presence in the race and the way you and your volunteers are engaging people will help bring out those numbers that are needed to put you over. Exactly.
So 11% voted last week. 550,000 people decided to face up 11 million people. That's very sad. 5 million are registered to vote, but only 11% showed up. This is actually going to be an even harder turnout, because the special election is a special election. It's not a regular scheduled election. So people are going to be confused. People are not going to know. It's going to be even lower, but it actually works to our advantage as well, because it's going to be the team that goes out and have these real conversations with the voter. And our team is doing that, and no commercial or ad is going to bring a voter out. So hopefully our conversations and our canvassing and phone banking team will help us.
Oh, very cool. So let's just talk about some of the issues that you're focused on. What are some of the major issues that you're seeing in your district? And then we can talk about some of the things that maybe you've been more specifically involved in. But what are some of the top issues that are facing your district from the feedback you've been getting from people or what you've been observing?
Right. So the great thing about our campaign and our platform is it was made with the community. We talked to people from LA, and it's community based. And one big thing is a huge issue is immigration. So our district is 60%, Latinx, 20% Asian, 10% white, 10% the rest like African American and indigenous and Middle Eastern. So it's very diverse. And what we want to do is, they're scared. They're scared of getting deported. They're scared that they won't get health benefits. They're scared they won't see their, parents. So what we want to do is provide full legal status for all immigrants. Republicans obviously don't want to do that. And it's pretty radical, but, we want to provide full legal status for everyone. And that's what we want to do in terms of immigration. Another big issue is housing. Housing is a big issue nationwide, especially in big cities. There's gentrification happening like in Brooklyn. There's gentrification happening in LA, all major cities. And so by getting price out of there, there's no affordable housing. People are living on the streets. So what we want to do is provide public housing, low income housing for people, because public housing is actually something that's frowned upon in the United States, because people think public housing just reminds them of crowded projects, low income people, drugs, sadly, they think of people of color. And what we want to do is public housing in Europe, it's mixed income. It starts off as low income people who get priority, but then let's say you get off your feet. They let you stay there, and they actually help you find housing if you want to move out of public housing. So public housing would make housing a right. So what we want to do is provide housing as a right. And the third big issue is healthcare. We want to provide single payer Medicare for all. As the richest nation on earth, and as the only developed nation to provide healthcare, not to provide healthcare, it's a disgrace. And both Democrats and Republicans don't want to push for single payer. So that's what we want to do. Those are three big issues that we want to fix.
Oh, very good. I just want to touch on what you just said about about the public housing for a second. What you just made a really good point about the negative connotation, right? About the provision of affordable housing opportunities. We see the same thing with being able to even like people's use of Section 8 vouchers, right? It's usually frowned upon. It's very difficult for people who have vouchers to get rental assistance in particular neighborhoods or areas and stuff because, those people, that type of thing. So that is actually combating the stigma and then making, housing affordable and open and available to people. That's a very interesting dynamic. And you're right. It is something that's necessary. I worked in Chicago for a bit after law school, and the waiting list for public housing in Chicago had just opened up, and it was like the first time in like 10 years or whatever, the waiting list, like just the waiting list. So the waiting list for public housing in Chicago, and mind you, Chicago public housing was like mostly vacant too at the time, right? Mm-hmm. It's gone under radical redevelopment, but still like the waiting list had been closed for 10 years. So you couldn't even apply to wait. It's just, and I know like in other places that there is an overload on the existing system. And we've just seen the recent proposal with cuts to HUD assistance.
Right.
Just position. So you touch on something that's very real because it's something that's happening, all across the country. And then you look at issues in terms of living wage and just like you're saying, the need for healthcare. I mean, I think you have found a good intersection of issues that directly touch people's, everyday lived experience and not just some, what they say about us, quote unquote, pie in the sky.
Pie in the sky. like I'm proud the Green Party's eco-socialist and the fact that Bernie Sanders won in our district, it's the only district in LA to win for Bernie.
Oh, really? Okay.
Means it's huge, like when we talk about these issues, there's also a socioeconomic factor. Besides the economic factors, socially, it affects people's lives, like you're not happy, your parents are struggling, you don't see your kids, you're worried about whether you're going to go to school or whether you're going to see your dad or whether you're going to have to pay for your rent or pay for your health care. And it's really sad. And it really affects everybody. So all these issues we're fighting for is interconnected. So
just kind of going along, you're right, they are all interconnected, and just going along with some of the immigration, like we just said, immigration is a serious concern issue, and I know for a lot of people and activists have been saying it's been an issue, but we've seen this increase in frenzied activity as a result of the first, the increase in ICE raids under Trump, and then the first ban, and now the second one, which I think I just read earlier. There was a judge in Hawaii that made a ruling in terms of the second one, which is going into effect tomorrow, or supposed to go into effect tomorrow. But so how do you see, because there is so much work that already has to be done, right? How do you see, your work or any challenges in this age of quote unquote resist Trump? I mean, do you still just approach everything the same way, or is there a heightened sense of urgency now because of some of the moves he's been making?
Right. So when it comes to Trump, there is the resistance age right now. We're all resisting. We're all sort of woke, right? Everyone says woke these days. So what we have to do is not only do we resist against Trump, but we got to fight for better, is what I tell people. When it comes to immigration and the whole Muslim ban 2.0, which is going to go into effect tomorrow, we have to do what we did last time, is we got to rally to the streets. Like in LAX, we packed that. I'm sure in the East Coast, all over the place, airports, we were there. Like that's literally people power in itself. Because from a government capacity, our government can't do anything. It's a majority Republican Congress, a Republican president. And the only way we could fight this is on the streets here at home and basically shutting. To me, I think we need to shut things down. And, but we also have to not only just resist and shut things down, but we got to fight for better. We got to say, hey, we want full legal status for all these people. We want to say, hey, the reason why they're coming here is because they're getting bombed by the U.S. military. We're actually creating a situation where these people become refugees, and so they have no other place to go. we sort of have to realize, like, well, why are they coming here? Well, maybe it's because of U.S. imperialism or something, or maybe it's because we're over there trying to fight wars on oil, and we're exploiting them and the people that are suffering, so they want to come here for a better life. So that's sort of how, we'd resist on the streets at the airports, but we'd fight for, hey, full legal status. Hey, let them in. And hey, stop these wars on oil and all these wars on, U.S. imperialism for masked as a humanitarian mission, which is really not. So that's sort of how I would do it. And in Congress, what we want to do is, if elected, is make sure that, in the short term, since we can't pass anything, even I can't, even a Democrat can't, because a Republican has a majority. The short term is we have to fight for something, and we have to call out our representatives across the aisle, Democrat and Republican, who are not on board with us, and vote them out for next election, so we could actually pass legislation that could help these people.
So let's fast forward to after election day when you win, because we're going to claim it, you're going to win. So let's fast forward. How do you propose to be able to get some of the things done that you want to get done?
Yeah. So
as because you would, if I remember correctly, you would be the first Green in Congress. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'd be the first Green in Congress.
Very cool. So how would that? I mean, would you be like just young Bernie? Like, how would that work for you?
Like, what I tell people is,
well, how do you envision that?
They ask, like, how are you going to work with Democrats and Republicans? And we're sort of at this age where it's time to cut, like, do you cuss on the show? No, right? It's like,
no, like, you're good. You're fine. I do. Be you.
It's time to cut the bullshit, like, for real. Like, Democrats and Republicans, it's not a matter of us working with these government officials. It's a matter of them working with the people. And this is what the people want. A majority of them want legislation like healthcare or education or, protecting our environment. It's not a matter of, well, how are you gonna try to toe the party line and then, try to be a Democrat? I told the LA Times in all these interviews, I'm like, I'm going to work with anyone who gives a damn about the people. So to be honest, and we said these at debates and at forums, is it's going to be tough to pass anything with a Republican majority. To be honest, we're not going to pass like anything in Congress the first year and a half. But what we can do, though, is in the short term is we could introduce legislation. Let's say single payer, right? And if we see like 100 Democratic representatives who don't co-sponsor it, we're going to remember that for next election, which is in a year. And we're going to tell their constituents like, hey, your congressman didn't vote for this. Or there's 100 Republicans who voted for Trump and now they're cutting Medicare or Medicaid. And those are Republicans that want to support single payer, which would provide health insurance for the elder generation or the low income families. We're like, hey, those Republican Congress people didn't vote for that either. So the next year and a half, our strategy in Congress is to build up a movement, put tabs on people who don't give a damn about their constituents. And then once 2018 comes, vote them the hell out, Like, if we're being honest, not even these Democrats who are running against will have the power to do anything. Like, you hear them talking about like, oh, I have all this experience. I'm like, you ain't going to do shit. Like you ain't going to do anything against these Republicans. Because they have a majority, and the most effective way you could do this in this Republican majority is to have a movement behind. I believe our campaign has a huge movement. It's not good enough to be progressive anymore. Even the establishment Dems are using progressive now.
Yes, or grassroots. Yeah,
it's not enough to be progressive or grassroots. You have to be revolutionary. You got to speak your mind, and you got to. I don't even like saying speak truth to power, because everyone's saying that too. So
I know, isn't it so bad when they start co-opting everything? Terry in the chat room said, yes, propose, educate, and expose. I like those catchphrases like that.
The thing is, like, we're just regular people running to be in office, because regular people are not in office. For real, it's like 50. The average age is 57 years old. Like, these people don't represent us. They don't represent the communities of color. They don't represent LA. These people are making decisions for us. So it's time to be real, like for real. Like, I don't know how else to put it.
Right.
Expose.
Yeah, she said propose, educate, and expose. I'm like, yeah, I like that.
I like that.
So what are some of the I mean, obviously I can figure it out, but just talk with us. What are some of the challenges in the race, thus far? Since you've been getting started. I know you mentioned, being able to raise as much money as other candidates, or maybe have there been certain endorsements, or just have there been any obstacles or issues that have come up?
Right. I mean, not the hard part is we're 100% volunteer run.
Mm-hmm.
We don't pay
and
anybody.
You're working full time too, right? Still?
Hell yeah, I'm still a worker, man. I'm 26. I'm still working, trying to pay these damn bills, and like, it's tough. But this is what we tell people is, like, if you want to model a real grassroots campaign, this is it. We don't have we're 100% volunteer run. People are putting in their time, effort, and energy into this campaign. And one of our volunteers said, Kenneth, I'm taking a week off, a vacation to help you. I'm like, damn, that's your vacation. Like, you don't have to do that. But that's sort of how much drive and love they have, because they see the big picture here. They know that if this is going to open doors. So the hardest part would definitely be like time. There's not enough time, especially when you're not paid to do what you're doing. And it's something that we need to have. We have the volunteers. It's just finding the time now to keep cranking out things, So I would say that's probably the biggest thing. And not having enough money is always a big issue, because all these people are sending mailers and commercials, and but I'm confident if we keep up our face-to-face conversations, we're going to win this election. So
absolutely. So what can folks do to help you? When is the election actually? It's April
4th. April 4th is the election.
April 4th.
And
okay.
It's an open primary, so anyone can vote regardless of their party affiliation.
Oh, very good.
Right. So if you want to get involved, we have phone bankers from out of state. We have a script. We have a website. Super easy. And you can just go to mejiaforcongress.com, MEJIA for Congress.com, and all the info is there. 1 hour a day, 19 days left to make history, and we're going to win. Or we're going to at least put up a fight, So.
Well, you are definitely putting up a fight. And someone else from the chat room said, "What is this? I've been told that millennials are all uninformed and lazy. I guess Mr. Mejia must be a lot older than he looks." That's hilarious. Yeah. So you are, I mean, like you said, you're 26. You're running for Congress. You're doing what a lot of us older folks have not yet been able to do.
I should be at the club right now doing something.
No, seriously though, what motivated you to run? I didn't even ask you this. What motivated you to run in the first place?
Well, my whole life, I always knew things were messed up. So, growing up with a single mother, raising 4 kids, and growing up in part of LA, wasn't best, but we had enough, and thank God we have enough. I'm privileged just to even have a house, to live with somebody, even though we had 7 people live in a household.
Right.
So my whole life, I always wanted to help people. Like growing up, I'd ask my mom for money to give to the homeless, to give food. And then when it came to politics, I actually never cared for politics, because politics sucks. It's so corrupt. I mean, it still is. But I saw Bernie Sanders, and he sort of hope in politicians. And so, but he's a public servant. So that's the biggest thing. So thank God to Bernie, I got involved. I ran last year in the Democratic Party. I got 1,177 write-in votes with 2 months of campaigning. And after I got screwed and endorsed Hillary, I'm like, all right, well, there's another public servant out there, Jill Stein. I love her too. So then, that's how I got involved with the Green Party, and I'm going to keep going. And, this is the only way you can you can bring about change, is you got to take power, because you're not going to get it if you just sit there and be disaffected like I was before. So
speaking of Jill Stein, you now see, because I try and keep up with your events and stuff, see what's going on. So not only you have actually been endorsed, you're running as a Green Party candidate, but you've actually been endorsed by the party, right?
Yep, endorsed by the party, Jill Stein. We had a rally on Sunday with her.
Yes, it was. That's what I was just about to ask you. You had, because I can't remember if you just had the rally or if it was happening this Sunday. Because, like I said, I do try and keep up with what's going on with your campaign and stuff. Like I said, because seriously, like, I don't know if people get how, like, even though it's California, it does not directly impact me in that respect. But having someone else who would be advocating for issues that I definitely care about, absolutely matters. But like, you're so motivational, right? And inspirational. And the way you and all your volunteers and folks are like grinding and really, really getting it in. Like, it's so I do try and keep watching. Shout out to Aaron who keeps me up to date on what you're doing and stuff too.
Holloway, what's up?
Yeah, but so how has, because I asked you about the Green Party for that, but how was it, having the rally with Jill and having the support? Because that's crucial. To have that support and that like people being able to say, yeah, that's our guy. Like that, it's good to have a squad, Right. So how has that been?
It's humbling. It's so humbling to actually have a party to endorse us and to have a presidential candidate support us who everyone knows, like worldwide. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing. Like meeting Jill, she's so humble. She's so relaxed. She actually like gives a damn. It's like she's actually a non-person of color, a white lady who actually gives a damn about people of color. Like I feel it. Like I feel it from her. And she, when I met her, I was chilling with her in the backseat of the car to drop her off at her hotel, mm-hmm. and she's just as you, like me and you. Like, mm-hmm. She just has a regular conversation. She sits down on a regular table. She doesn't have to be in a special room during a rally. She takes pictures with everybody, and she really connects with people. And she listens. She listens. Mm-hmm. Like, she doesn't tell people what to do. So I'm very thankful. I love Jill Stein, and she helped us raise like $15,000 in a week, which is awesome.
Very nice.
And I'm very proud to have her by our side.
Very nice. Very nice. So you said 19 days. So what's coming up next? Do you have any more events? You guys can definitely go to the website. I'll make sure that to tweet out and link in the video when it's up on YouTube. Also, links to all your stuff, as well as in the body of the iTunes and Spreaker and stuff. But so what's coming up next? And then what are some needs? What are some things you need from folks to help you make it across the finish line?
Yeah. So 19 days left. We need people to hit the phones, hit the ground, knocking on doors. We're asking for 1 hour of your time. If you have 1 hour and you only get 3 supporters, that's great, because we have 3. If you have like 200 volunteers on one day, 3 supporters in 1 hour is 600 votes right there. Mm-hmm. So, and we only need like a couple, maybe over 10,000 to win or to get like go into the runoff. So please sign up to volunteer. It's going to be really important, because commercials are not going to win this, and daily mailers are not going to win this. Real conversations are going to win this election. And our plan for the next 3 weekends, because we have left, is to get out the vote. I'm going to have some meet and greets. All my calendar events are on my Facebook or on my website at mejiaforcongress.com. And you can check out everything we're doing. I'll be at the border on next Saturday, to speak on immigrant rights. So that's going to be humbling, and a humbling experience as well. So yeah, help out if you can. If you live in LA, knock on doors with us every weekend, every day. If you live out of state, make phone calls. It's super easy. We have a script. It's free. Yeah, 1 hour.
So we have, I just lost my train of thought because again, I'm in Atlanta. I'm on the East Coast. It is almost midnight. I stayed up to talk with Kenneth. Forgive me, everybody, for forgetting my thought. Hold on for 1 second. But so let me just go back so I can find my place again. So you talked earlier about a lot of different issues and stuff, and you talked about the diversity of the community you're working in. How, like, over the last several years, right? We've seen all this increased activism and organizing efforts. And from what it sounds like you're saying, it's like not just only are you organizing within, you know, the volunteers to have the turnout for this election, but just even thinking about, it almost sounds like when you go to Congress, it'd be an organizing of your fellow, you know, congressional representatives as well. How has, you know, experiences maybe over the past few years in your life, or like you said, growing up with a single mother, growing up where you grew up, how has that prepared you though for this process and being able to get out there and talk to people?
I think growing up, you know, from a single mother and then talking to the community and seeing friends with single moms or low income families, or just seeing people struggle, it sort of changes your perspective on a lot of things. So my thought process to people who complain about, oh my God, there's a new phone. I want to get the new iPhone, or oh my God, Kim Kardashian, or, you know, Beyonce, or like, they just, my perspective is like that stuff doesn't matter to me anymore. You know, I'm very thankful about what I have or had. I'm very fortunate. I'm very lucky. I'm very privileged. So when I run for Congress or talk to the community, I sort of, you know, listen, I give perspective. I don't judge like what people do. I try to understand their point of view and sort of remember how I was raised and where I came from as well. Because a lot of people don't do that. If you don't have perspective, it's going to be harder for you to try to relate to people. And in doing that, you're not going to pass good legislation, or people are not going to believe you. So I think it prepared me well enough to, when I go to these meet and greets or do these rallies, I sort of, before I speak to people, I sort of look at it from their perspective, or I try to put myself in the shoes of someone who lives on the streets, or someone who doesn't have health care, or someone who can't afford to go to school. So it made me relatable, like relatable to people. So that's sort of how, it prepared me for this.
I mean, that's crucial though too, because we need people who understand what it is, you know, to be a real like person. And even if you, like you just said, even if you don't have not specifically, because there are going to be a lot of people that you represent that you won't necessarily have that specific experience, but being able to empathize, empathy is lacking so much in our current political discourse. And I mean, just look at all these Republicans and Trump right now who are claiming they're making America better, and they're about to, you know, make it more difficult. Or like we talked to, like you pointed out, with Democrats who weren't willing to fight for single payer. I mean, if we're really caring and putting people first, right? I mean, healthcare, we would not even, it'd be a no brainer. I mean, so I think what you just said is like, we need somebody like you who gets that empathy is strong and it's necessary.
Exactly. And, you know, that's hoping, that's what we want to bring, you know? So, you know, people who are about to get deported or who are going to lose their homes because of gentrification, they don't give a damn about what's on the news right now about like, you know, MTV or something, you know? It's just perspective that's going to carry you far, I think. And so, yeah.
So do you see your support group? Do you see folks being able to stay organized post-election to maybe serve as, not necessarily, I don't think that you're going to necessarily need a team to keep you accountable, but maybe even just backup community support for that engagement process, like you were describing, like being able to help hold other folks accountable as well. It seems like you would need to keep kind of the band together, so to speak, to be able to make sure that's done? Or do you see that as part of an evolution in this movement moment we've all been in, as to steal David Cobb's phrase, that we just need to kind of work? This is something that we need to start doing together, is starting to make note and identify who's doing what in Congress and holding them accountable and responsible down the line, and not just waiting to vote them out.
Right. And I think our group here that we have, at least in LA and on Facebook too, we have so many people following us. I think everyone's organized. They're ready to go. Right. They just need that breakthrough to happen. Something needs to happen, like radical, like revolutionary, like a freaking Green Party member winning in Congress. Like that needs to happen. Like something needs to jumpstart these people into the electoral process, you know? And I believe if we do win, we'll still have that base and groups worldwide who are going to keep people accountable. Because I tell people, if we win in 2017, people are going to win in 2018. Campaigning starts in December for 2018 right now. So we're going to open the doors for Greens worldwide, and it's going to be huge. And so I'm not worried about the people. I think they're going to see what happens with our election, and they're going to carry it on in any other state or any other district to keep their people accountable. So
absolutely. One of the things that one of my lessons that I from just watching the Bernie Sanders campaign over, for all that time, it just looked like at some point, or not at some point, for a good portion of time, it seemed like the official campaign was trying to run a traditional political campaign, even though we were in the middle of creating, the greatest political insurgency in the modern American political era. And it just seems like you've been able to capture not just that spirit, but really, like you said, it's 100% volunteer run, grassroots, people to people, making those connections. And it just seems like that's a model that maybe could work, that we really need to be working on replicating nationwide, and not just through like the different organizations stuff that come up, but like local people need to stand up and really like take charge. I know it might seem daunting, but look, if you can do it instead of going to the club.
Right. And I used to be as a person who goes to the club. Like, I'm a hip hop dancer. I'm a DJ. Like, that's what I used to be.
Say word. See, that needs to be part of your pitch. You as a hip hop dancer and a DJ.
Yeah, I was a hip hop. I have a YouTube channel doing hip hop choreography. I'm a DJ too. And so like, I'm the ones and twos. I do like, I used to be a physical trainer at the gym. Dude, I do it all. But this is what matters though. Helping others is the big thing.
Yeah. So the question, do you I'm not sure if you know this off the top of your head, what is the median age of voters in your district? Do you know?
I'd say it's like older, like maybe over 40, like around there.
Mm-hmm. And how have with that slightly older, because then that is part of the thing that everyone keeps saying, even though millennials are definitely a force. My sis Yami, she said folks need to see that. They need to see they need to see your move. So you should probably bust the move, I guess, ahead of election day. But how has with older voters, how has the response been to you? I mean, because you are by some measures young-ish. So how has that been received, or does it matter? Are people just ready for a forward moving change?
Yeah, so we get all types of responses from the older generation. When they think about us, we're too young. You're 26, they're like, do you have a job? And we tell them like, yeah, I do. I graduated college in 2.5 years. I'm a certified public accountant when I was 22. I've been working.
Oh, wow.
I've been working 6 years. I was an auditor, auditing companies, making sure their books are right. These are Fortune 500 billion-dollar companies. Mm-hmm. So, like, I have an understanding about the damn economy and about finances more than I bet these candidates do. But I don't talk about it. So, but when I throw that to the older generation, like, oh my God, I didn't know that, and they're like, okay, maybe I'll take you seriously. So. You have that sort of typical response that we're too young. Mm-hmm. Then you also have the response was when they actually see us, they think like, damn, he's so radical. Like, this is the change we need. But then you have the other side of that is like, oh, I'm not sure if I could handle that. Like, I'm a little, he's a little too revolutionary or radical for my thing. So, but what we tell them is like, that's like, look where what we do is try to make people think about where we got it in the past 40 years. We've at this point crap. And if you think about the past 40 years, it's been Republicans and Democrats. So when you sort of think about chronologically how we got here and all the shady crap that Democrats and Republicans are doing, like, think about it like that. Like, you're right. I ended up here the past 40 years because of a two-party system who doesn't care about us people here. And so once they realize that, and this goes for any age, you're like, you're right. And I think you represent something different. We don't talk like, I don't talk like a politician, as you can tell. I'm not politically correct. But for the most part, those are the reception we get from the older generation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, yeah. So anyway, I was just keeping up with what was going on in the chat room. This conversation's buzzing, so that's where the question came from about the age. But just in time, and kind of, Yami, my friend Yami said, be the good grandson. She said, frame yourself like JFK 2.0, best of the next generation, works well on the elders is her tip. But I do like what you're saying, and I think that regardless of what happened, and again, definitely rooting for you. We're gonna claim it. But you are doing something, very, very not just valuable and awesome, but like I said again, inspiring. Because I'm sure people may have told you, I'm sure you've gotten some off comments, but at the same time, going strong and standing with your beliefs, that's what we need, right? We need people who are willing to say, I believe in this. This is what I'm standing for. I'm willing to put it on the line for you. I just need you to vote for me because I'm willing to put it on the line for you. And when we're looking at kind of this field, not just in your race, but just at large right now, when we're looking at these upcoming midterm elections, it's still disheartening the way the Democrats are willing to double down on the same old, and not step out and listen to people. We just heard this week, Bernie Sanders had a town hall and he was in McDowell County, West Virginia. And we listened to people who voted for Donald Trump talking about healthcare for all, right? Like that resonates with Americans. And it sounds like from your experience, you've been talking to people about the issues and it resonates with the voters. So do you have any closing thoughts or words? Because I'm really pulling for you. I really hope that you will be successful in this endeavor.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to Noah and the Progressive Army, Benjamin Dixon. Shout out to him. Thank you for having me on your show. Being interviewed by many progressives, like Debbie, the same progressive, Steve, the real progressive. You have Jimmy Dore, who interviewed us. We have Tim Black, and now it's Noah. You're actually you're on our interviewer list lineup.
I know, it's pretty awesome.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity in this space. Final words. My name is Kenneth Mejia. If you all joined this late, I'm a 26-year-old running for Congress, representing the Green Party. I was born and raised by a single mother from the Philippines. She raised me and 3 siblings, and she made sure education was the thing I had to receive in order to advance, and I did that and graduated college in 2.5 years. I'm a certified public accountant, got it when I was 22 years old, and I've been working 6 years in finance. I quit last year because Bernie Sanders inspired me to run for Congress, and I ran last year in the Democratic Party, got 1,177 write-in votes, but I lost. But I'm not quitting, I'm going to keep going. December came up and our congressman vacated his seat, and now we're here again. And we really want to bring power back to the people. I don't really care about the billionaire corporations or what the billionaire corporate parties think about us. All I care about is what the LGBTQ community thinks, what people of color think, what immigrants think, what single mothers think, what people who are marginalized and oppressed by a system that doesn't give a damn about them, that has been created by both the two-party system. That's who I think about. I try to do everything I can in my power to represent the community to the fullest. I'm very outspoken. I try to speak for the voiceless, and I'm here to bring power back to the people. So that's who I am. My election's April 4. It's an open primary. It's in Los Angeles, District 34. Please come out and help us, volunteer, donate. Go to mejiaforcongress.com, MEJIA. You can learn all about us. And thank you, Anoa and the Progressive Army.
I appreciate you so much for doing this and staying up. And well, you didn't have to stay up. I stayed up, but I'm happy that we got to have this conversation, and definitely want to follow up with you again to chat and see more about what's going on, what you're working on. And hopefully we'll be talking about you moving, because it's this special election is just a primary, and then or is this just just the
This is a
special election
primary.
is it?
The first one's a primary. Yeah.
Okay. And so there's a runoff process, or how does that work?
If someone gets over 50%, they win everything.
Okay.
If someone gets it, it's top 2, and then we advance to.
Okay. So we are shooting for either over 50% or top 2. Okay.
Yeah, we need help.
Okay, definitely. So I'll make sure to share all the links that Kenneth mentioned. If you guys can. Okay, so my one of my editors, Patrick Hopkins, shout out to Patrick. Patrick does some editing for me for blog writing, things like that. So he's also a super researcher. He said that the median age in your district is 34.2. So there are 110 35 to 44-year-olds, 92,000 are 45 to 54, 141 are 25 to 34. So it seems like you got a good mix going on in your census in that area. I'll just have to just message you Patrick's information if you need help with the research. Sorry, Patrick. Michael said, cool. I wrote in Kenneth last year and I'm voting for him again. Great. So happy to see people coming in. We are wrapping up, but Kenneth, really though, like I said, you're very inspiring. I'm rooting for you. Whatever links and stuff you need me to share, I'll definitely make sure we get it out and get it blasted and shared around. Cause brother, we need you. We absolutely need you. So thank you so much for joining me tonight.
No, thank you. Thank you, Anoa. Thank you, Progressive Army. Thank you, Benjamin Dixon Show. Shout out to everyone watching this. Peace and love.
Yeah, and I'll get the Facebook Live working. Look, I'm not the tech person. I'm just the looks and the talent. Shout out to David Grossman, my producer, who I did not badger him to stay up late with us. But we will our next time we'll make sure we have the Facebook and stuff going too. But I appreciate you, Kenneth, for your patience, and we'll make sure to get this plastered everywhere. So thank you.
All right, awesome. Keep up the posts. I love your posts.
Thank you.